Hey guys, it's Andy Coleman, and I have a special guest today for you. So this is Paul Saperstein. He's actually the 50th ranked agent in the entire planet for real estate, of course. So yeah, I just wanted to sit down and interview him and have a little podcast with him so he can share his story and tell you how he became so successful so fast. So yeah, this is Paul Saperstein.
Only took 25 years.
So Paul, you've been doing this about 25 years now.
Yep.
I think we really want to start off hearing your journey. Like when you first became a realtor, did you do anything before real estate? Was this your first career?
First career, right out of college. I actually, we used to call out of newspapers to get our first job.
Oh.
So, Palm Beach Post saw an ad for Kai's Company Realty.
Okay, yeah.
Called the ad, thought I was getting paid to do real estate.
Yeah.
It's 100% commission.
All
job.
commission.
And, dove in and wanted to quit a million times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? So, how old were you? Were you like 20 years old?
23.
23 years old. Okay. And
right out of college.
Wait, can I ask you how old you are now?
47.
47. Okay, I'll ask again. So wait, how old are you now?
47.
47. Okay, yeah. So you have been doing this a really long time. When you started, was there anything about real estate that really hooked you in, that made you really love real estate, and that's what you wanted to focus on for your career?
Yeah, I love people. I'm very inquisitive, ask a million questions. More street smart than book smart. I was never a great student. So all my learning, all my life, my journey was always asking the right questions, asking what people did to become successful, kind of like we do in podcasts now. And I kind of copied what other successful agents were doing.
Okay. Did you have a mentor when you started off? How did you...
I did.
Yeah.
The mentor, we actually still work with him today.
Oh.
His actual name is Fred DeFalco Sr.
I love Fred. Fred's amazing. Yeah.
It was more, he didn't teach me the business, he actually teach me the professionalism and the tools that it took to become a top agent.
Okay.
But you got to have it within yourself, you're a successful agent yourself.
Yeah,
that drive, nobody can teach you.
No.
And I think that drive for me came from, being a college athlete, just wanted to be the best.
What did you do in college?
I studied marketing and business management, but I played baseball.
Baseball. Let me guess, second base.
No, I was lefty, so I only had too short to play first base. Okay. I can't play catcher, can't play infield, so I was an outfield.
Okay, yeah. I used to play in the All-Star team when I was younger, and I was center field, shortstop and everything. I loved baseball growing up. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I got a 10-year-old now, and it makes you feel like a kid just going out there and watching.
Yeah. I'm sure you have catches with him and everything.
Yeah.
It's probably a ton of fun. Yeah. So you're a family man. So obviously married, have kids and everything. How is the family life, interfering with real estate at all? Is it interfere at all?
Great question. You do got to set boundaries. When you're first getting started, obviously you're paying to get your phone to ring.
Yeah.
Even though maybe you only make money off of 1% of your phone calls, but you're always thinking it's going to be that 1% phone call that you miss.
So that's important, actually, that you just said that. So a lot of people, I'm sure, get discouraged. They're getting hung up on phone calls. Deals are falling apart. What actually kept you going when you're getting all these rejection after rejection? Because you said only 1% really go through.
Correct.
So what was the motivating factor? All these rejections, like what pushed you forward?
I think failure is really never comes into my head. I really not really much of a thinker, more of a doer. So I never thought I was going to fail. And to stop bragging, anything I do is not the greatest, but I never think about failing. It's just, if you stick with it long enough, you're going to make it. It's just how long it's going to take you to make it.
Yeah, because most realtors, because I do rentals, as you know, and I did 240 rentals last year, so I've talked to a ton of agents. That's only the deals that closed. Could you imagine? There's hundreds more that did not close. So I'm talking to a lot of these agents, and they've been doing it 20, 30 years. First of all, a lot of them have no clue what the hell they're doing after they had no training, and even after 20 years. But some of them, they're not succccessful at all. They're making no money. They've been doing this forever.
They're grumpy.
Yeah, they're grumpy. Yeah, they have a bad attitude. So what sets you apart? Because to become the top 50th agent in the entire world. I mean, that's a massive accomplishment. That's huge. Like there's only 50 other human beings that are better at you than real estate.
Now, keep in mind that's based on transaction count. There are mega agents that are selling $50 and $100 million homes. So my ranking is based on number of deals. Like in 2021, I think I closed 233 sides.
That's crazy.
2022, the market was down a little bit. It was 193 sides.
Wow.
So we'll find out in June what the current ranking is for 2022.
That's ridiculous. Because I did rentals, and I can't even imagine doing house sales. That's so impressive.
What you're doing, believe it or not, is more impressive. There's more moving parts. Remember, I'm on the listing side 100% of the time. So the time that I'm actually spending with clients is significantly less than like a top buyer's agent. A top one is only going to be able to do 30 or 40 deals.
Really?
Listing side, you can almost 10 times that. If you work systematically, you can actually get it done because you're actually not stuck with the clients. Once you obtain the listing, you market it correctly, you can, in theory, move on to the next deal. You can't do that on the buy side because you've got inspections, appraisal, mortgage,
showings beforehand.
They cancel, you start over. So the time it takes to work a listing is probably 1/10 that it does with the buy side.
Wow. So you recommend for agents just starting out, I'm sure there's a lot of agents that are just starting out right now. I mean, the market's tough right now. As a brand new agent, if you're trying to do listings, if you're trying to get purchases, if you're, buyers, if you're trying to go the rental route, like what would you suggest like a brand new agent to focus on right now?
What I would do is find somebody like myself or you as an actual mentor, official mentor, whatever company you decide to work at, and basically just watch what they do. Even if you're not making that much money for the first month, just sit there and watch what we do, hear the conversations, hear the way we talk to people, hear the positive attitude that we're putting deals together, because that's priceless. You can't learn that kind of stuff in the classroom. It's really on the job training.
Yeah. I've noticed that actually when I started out, my personality, I like doing everything myself. So I just, stuck my nose to the ground and just hit the ground running basically. So when I did it, I was just making mistake after mistake after mistake, trial by error. But, obviously if you get somebody that was there to teach you, you're going to move up way quicker, way faster. It's like a shortcut.
But you got to stumble to get better. That is, and now a couple years in, your strengths. You know your weaknesses, and you can't reproduce yourself. So you got to figure out where's my time best spent, and then whether you hire a virtual assistant, a real live assistant, or somebody to whether they're licensed, unlicensed, that's up to you. But it's got to have somebody that's swimming in the same direction as you, or there's conflict day one.
Yeah. So circling back now to talk about your very beginning, the start of your career. Yeah. When you got going, I'm super curious. So you're 20 years old, you said, right?
I was 23.
23 years old, fresh out of college, and just take me through your first year of real estate. How did that look?
Yeah. So income-wise, I think I ended up making, now this was 1999, 25 years ago. I think I ended up making about $70,000 my first year.
That's good.
I had $1 million sale, which was half my income.
Wow.
So as a 22-year-old kid out of college, I had no sphere of influence.
Yeah.
I wasn't from Florida. I had just moved to Florida 2 years ago to finish college. My parents were down here, so I did have, some friends and family that were able to refer me business.
But not a big network built up.
Not a big network. And, the only thing I remember about my first year is I closed $1 million deal. Ooh. If I didn't, I don't know if I would have stayed in the business. Wow.
Because so that one deal, as a realtor, obviously we get around anywhere from 2 to 3% commission for a sale, anywhere from 50%, 60% for a rental.
Yep.
If you're doing $1 million deal, I'm guessing that's somewhere around the ballpark of $30,000, $40,000 in commission, $35,000, right?
Yeah, 25 to 30.
25 to 30.
I represent both sides, so it's 2.5 to 3%
of the million. So that's about $25,000 to $30,000. How did that feel, as a 23-year-old kid, and you just made 30 grand in one transaction? How did that feel?
So I always told everybody in the business, obviously it's more now, I'm making more money, but at the beginning, what I used to do is, which is interesting, I used to actually cash the checks so I could feel the money. So it wasn't just actual checks going to the bank. So it was kind of interesting. Like no matter how much money you made, it just felt like a piece of paper going in and going out. You really never can, if say you make $1 million a year and you never touch any of the money, it doesn't feel real.
It's just a number on a computer screen.
So once in a while, actually go cash a check and see the pile of money. Then you realize, hey, how much work did I do for this? Was it worth it? Figure out your niche. It's interesting.
Did you buy anything cool? Do you remember it? I don't even remember.
Nothing crazy. I always had nice cars growing up, so I really didn't,
What was your first nice car?
Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 36. I had to think about that for a second.
Right, so it was 1993.
Okay. Wow.
It was when like the Toyota Supra, the original one, came out. The Dodge Stealth.
Wow.
This is with like the supercars.
Yeah.
If you look at them now, they're probably slow compared to.
Yeah. I just got an M3 500 horsepower, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. I mean, back then I'm sure that would have been like a hypercar or something.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So after your first year, you got this big deal, and you're like, okay, this is for me. I really like doing this. Take me through now. Your second year, did it start picking up the pace a little bit?
Took about 5 years to click.
Whoa! Yeah, wow.
The toughest part of the business is no matter, even at the level I'm at today, there's still so much downtime that your brain tells you, maybe I'm not cut out for this. I don't know. I wake up on a Monday. I don't have, if you're not, good at time blocking or, scheduling, you could say, you know what, I don't know if this is right. No matter how much money you're making, it's still that even today.
Even today?
Yeah.
Really?
Even though you say, well, Paul, your next deal is coming. You really don't.
You don't.
Luckily, your phone rings or you pick up the phone and get that appointment. But that's what keeps you hungry. That's what keeps you, grounded.
So, wow, yeah, I mean, that's honestly shocking to hear, because I figured, by now you're like, all right, I know what I'm doing, I know what I want, but you even still get some doubts occasionally, because
every day.
I believe the stats in real estate, something like 70 or 80% of realtors quit after their first, 6 months or something, the first year, which is pretty nuts. So in your first 5 years, like, you did your 70,000 your first year, because I'm sure everybody is really curious, what do successful realtors make? So take me through now, year 2, 3, 4, 5. How did this progression really work?
Sure. So we'll talk. So at the beginning, when I worked at the Kai's company, after I had my first year and I hooked up with my mentor, then I started to really have a good path to follow. Then we were actually getting internet leads 20 years ago when nobody was getting them.
Really?
I don't even know where he was getting them.
But AOL time? Right?
Yeah, it was just name, telephone number, and email address was the lead.
Wow.
Didn't really say what they were looking for. I don't even know if, Zillow definitely wasn't around.
No.
I don't know if Realtor.com was even around.
No.
So it was really just, basically people inquiring. Maybe he was buying mortgage leads. Whatever it was data.
Yeah.
I knew, 25 years ago when I started, we were really in the data business. The more data you collected, the more money you would make.
Which is true today too.
Yeah. Even though I wasn't really storing the data, I didn't really have a database 25 years ago. But I would say in the last 10 years, I've compiled a very solid database. There's probably millions of dollars sitting in the database that I'm not, extracting. But
you don't use any Constant Contact, KV Core, CRMs.
But I never go back to it. So it's really just organizational. One of my faults will probably be follow-up where I'm not going back in, where I'm only grabbing the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And that follow-up is key. Yeah.
I heard that you're supposed to call 10, 15 people a day from your database, and every single day just strike up a conversation with them. How impactful do you think that really is if you do that? Do you think?
If I did that, I probably could cut off all my actual money that I spend marketing. But it's to me it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially if you took a 10-year break and you haven't called these people. You gotta call them. Hey, I apologize for not staying in touch. You got to be careful with questions you answer. You could ask them, how's so and so? Maybe they're not married. Maybe they passed away. So it's an uncomfortable. But in order to grow in any business, you got to get uncomfortable to grow. So I have not followed the steps that most agents do. I'd rather actually, my niche is direct mail,
Yes.
so that's what I'm doing in place of calling people every day.
That was my next question, actually. So, to become so successful, because you just said you closed about 240 deals in your last year. So, when you're doing that, you're saying direct mailers. Like, take me through like the steps it actually takes to get those 240 deals using direct mailers.
Perfect. So, even when I owned my own house, I used to kind of look up to the big mega listing agents. Now, back then, obviously, direct mail was probably even more popular. But I kind of, hooked up with, two of the top printing, advertising companies in the local area. Developed some kind of brand, which I didn't realize that even when I was at Kai's or ReMax, I was developing my own brand. I just didn't know it yet. And eventually it started sticking. But yeah, you got to have some kind of call to action. The toughest thing with marketing is the consistency. And not giving up. The same way you don't give up on the business.
Yeah.
Even if and starting with a small amount of area that you say, hey, this is affordable. The first car you leased or you bought wasn't the M3. You couldn't make the payments.
No way.
So what happens is when in real estate, you start small enough that you can stay consistent for that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and still you start seeing the fruits of your labor. Then you start adding. Then you get a nicer car. I'm not saying car, but then you get a bigger farm area and you start making more money. So
you really focused in on a particular neighborhood first, and then so how many mailers would you even send out?
So when I first started, I shifted a little more about my history. My first 15 years in the business, I was a buyer's agent.
Okay.
I was scared to pick up the phone. I was scared to go on an appointment. Even though I was a great agent, I just, human beings are scared of rejection.
That's 15 years too. That's a good amount of time.
So I knew, if you asked me any street in the area, I would tell you what neighborhood it's in. Yeah. But I still wasn't getting into doors in order to get listings. I was still, I was still relatively young in the business. I was 23 to 38, like you're around your age
36,
now. But I'm competing against the 50-year-olds that have been in the business for 30 years. Even though if I look back, I could have been better than them. It was really just a confidence issue.
Well, you are now. You definitely are now. So you sending out mailers and everything. It basically, that's not like an instant gratification kind of thing where you're just getting business right away. That's more of a slow burn where over time, because you said it took you 5 years to really get going.
Yeah.
So first couple, 5 years, you were probably making under 6 figures a year. And then tell me, what was your first 6-figure year where you made over 100,000?
All right. So it was... I would say it was probably when I got to ReMax. What kept happening when I was at Kai's company, I kept asking, actually, we left Kai's company with my original mentor, Fred DeFalco.
Yeah.
We opened up the Falco Real Estate Group, which is a local mom and pop company. The local mom and pop companies can't really compete commission-wise, so maybe I went from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80. Finally, when I was at 80%, he said, you know what, Paul, I think you got to spread your wings. Why don't you go to a national company? That was a big, I had to get uncomfortable. I left
ReMax,
there. I went to ReMax. They were at 95.5.
Wow.
Wow. The level that I was at ReMax, I remember because they have different levels there. They would call it I don't know the exact name of the award, but if you made $100,000, you were at one level. And then it was $250,000 was the next level. 500, 750, and $1 million.
Oh.
And I remember for a lot of years, my goal was to hit the $100,000 level.
Yeah.
Which is, 6 figures. And then eventually I got plateaued at the 250 level forever.
Yeah. Oh, take me through that really quick then.
So until I got to my plateau, until I got to the listing side, was $250,000 a year.
Really?
So basically, call it $10 million in sales.
Yes.
Remember, I'm not really doing luxury. I'm doing your average homeowner.
Like 500,000 or so.
Less. So this is the average sale was probably 300,000. So I'm doing 10 million, let's call it 30 deals, which is 3 a month.
Okay.
And I'm taking home $250,000.
Which still a great amount for a real estate agent. Yeah.
And you're busy as heck.
Yes.
30 deals.
Yes.
When you're on the buy side, you got to go to every closing, every inspection. every
Showings. You could be doing 15, 20 showings.
Transaction coordinators didn't exist 25 years ago. So everything was, you were hands-on like you were. I was a control freak, whatever you want to call it, and didn't trust anybody to do anything.
Okay. Yeah. So you hit that 250 mark right around, what do you say, about 10 years in or so?
Yeah, 5 to 10 years in.
5 to 10 years in, and then you were stuck. You could not pass that point.
Yeah, and it was a battle. And then what happens in real estate is, how do you do what I did last year this year? And that, again, that's that mental challenge again. Like, say you have a slow start of the year. How am I going to do $10 million in business when the first quarter's over and I sold 3 houses?
Ooh.
So but it ends up working out as long as your work ethic or something doesn't happen where we had a major hurricane, financial crisis. Eventually,
2008.
The consistency does work out, but it's how are you going to get there? But again, that's what kept me hungry as an agent, that I know I would get there. I just didn't know how. Yeah.
You don't know how. But I mean, a lot of people would say, making $250,000, that's $250,000 a year. A lot of people would say you made it right there. So a lot of people would be happy. And before I was talking about all these agents I'm working with, they're not even making that much. And they've been doing this 30 years. They're content. They're happy. They don't care about that. Yeah. But you wanted more. Is that kind of like what I'm getting at?
Busy. I still felt like, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
30 deals a year, $250,000 income. I didn't have a business. I had a job.
So I
felt like that I wasn't busy enough to actually stimulate my brain enough that I'm like, wow, you're running a successful business.
So I was curious, actually. So let's just break it down for hours. And how many hours, like maybe let's say a day, were you working 7 days a week? Take me through that.
No. So I actually either play golf or tennis every day.
I'm a big tennis guy, actually. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're going to get out there.
Looking forward.
Yes.
So now when I go, I play at 7 in the morning. I usually do like an hour and a half clinic.
Nice
But yes, I would, and I wasn't, when I was younger, I wasn't as hungry. I didn't have kids when I first started.
Yeah.
Was doing a little more traveling, less responsibility. Staying out later. Whatever the normal 23 to 30-year-olds doing.
Yeah.
Now it's become laser focused, where a lot of the top agents or whatever industry they're in, they literally get obsessed with their industry. Like if you take the top tennis player, Novak eats, sleeps, and drinks,
tennis. Yeah.
That's it. That's all he can think about.
Yeah.
And it could be an unhealthy obsession too.
But that's how you become successful.
That's how you
become successful. That's how you become successful.
That's how you get the roadmap to what becomes successful. Then you can cut it back. You got to obviously, family's most important. Work, you can be second. Whatever it is, your religion or whatever whatever else, your hobbies that you're doing. But if your family life isn't in line, everything else is going to fall apart.
You need a balance.
You need a balance, and that's hard. Especially, shout out to Jamie, who married a real estate agent. That your spouse is always going to think they're second fiddle.
Yes.
Because you could be at a nice steak dinner and you wait for buyer A to call.
You got to take that call.
But you really don't.
You
really don't.
Okay.
You can always say you're an appointment. You should schedule, whether it's a date night or time with the kids, that you don't cancel to go to a Little League game to have a 1% chance of selling a house that you can show at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and not at 8:30.
Because that's what I was struggling with. Me personally, I was struggling with that, and I'm sure a lot of other agents are struggling with that. How do you separate your work life from your personal life? Which is tough because, me personally, I was doing about 16 hours a day. I still do about 16 hours a day. And, my significant other, she sometimes says that, I feel like I'm second best. I'm the second option. I said, no, that's not true. I'm just building something now. Fortunately, she's an entrepreneur, so she has her own business. She's busy. She lets me do my own thing. But a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that ruins relationships, if you're putting work first. But you figured out a good balance early on. Because when you were doing your 30 deals, a year, you were probably working 6 to 8 hours a day, if that. You weren't really working more than 6 to 8 hours a day. Still making $250 a year.
Yeah, which is great, and I was happy.
Phenomenal.
Everything was fine. I wasn't trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
And then depending what happens to you in life, when stuff changes, you're like, I gotta make more money.
You gotta put yourself into gear. And I'll even relate to this too, because when I first started, I was doing the same thing. I was working 6 to 8 hours a day, or 6 to 8 hours a day. I was going to the pool sometimes. I was playing tennis, I was going to the gym. I would go to the shooting range at 2:00 in the afternoon. And my girlfriend actually wasn't happy with the way I was working, which is funny, because then eventually she became upset that I was working too much.
Yeah.
So we had a moment, I'll never forget this actually. We were in the shower and she was like, I want you to make more money than me. And I know it sounds like, oh, do I got a gold digger? No, not at all. So she just wanted me to apply myself and be the best version of myself that I could be. So this was probably about 2 years ago, like right at the end of my first year. I've only been doing real estate, as you know, for about 3 years now. And she was like, listen, you don't sit at the pool for 2 hours or 3 hours on a Wednesday afternoon. I want you out there working. She's like, that's what I meant by I want you making more money than me. Right. She's like, I don't care if it takes you years to do it. So basically the next day I got my butt into gear and I started grinding. I remember I started working probably 12 hours a day, like basically right after that conversation. Right. And the very next year I went from doing, I think I did about 80,000 my first year in commission, take home commission. Yep. And then I did about 250,000 in my second year. And I really honestly owe it to her, because she's the one that motivated me and got me going to pick it up and perform like she knew I could. Right. So I think that's really important. You got to have a moment, because as you said before, you weren't striving to be the best person you could be. So what was your moment? When did it click in your head that you just dove right in?
So mine was a little different. We actually had our family lost a ton of money in a Ponzi scheme.
Oh.
So
what happened there? What do you mean?
So yeah, we lost. I personally lost $1 million.
Whoa!
I had my last child, whose name is Shane.
Yeah.
And the family lost all their money, so I was left with $80,000 to my name. I did still have my house, so I knew if I didn't work, we were gonna have to sell the house, change schools, move to a different neighborhood, and everything. And so I said to myself, nothing. The kids are never going to know this happened, even though we did when they were old enough. We actually told them what happened. So I didn't want it to affect any of the kids. Yeah. I have 2 older ones that Jamie had from her first marriage, Logan, who's 22, and Mallory, who's 19 now. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure their lives didn't change. Wow. So again, we didn't hide it to keep it from them, but
to protect them.
Know that 10, 11 years old.
You don't want to worry them. Yeah.
So. We did it, and that's how I became obsessed with work, and it became so obsessed that, like you said, it can definitely affect your relationship.
It could. Yeah. So did you have problems in the very beginning?
Misunderstandings, no problem.
Yeah.
But she lost a lot of money in it too.
Yeah.
But Jamie's perfect wife. She's not materialistic. None of that stuff matters. But I said, look, I still got a huge weight on my shoulders that I can't fail. Failure is not an option. It never will be. That's just not who I am. And that's kind of when I became a man, and put the family on my back and actually said, you know what, I'm going to be the best version of myself. I knew I had it in there, but my why wasn't. I didn't know my why yet.
So you had your losing your ha-ha moment. I call it my Saba moment. That's my girlfriend's name. You had. It basically came out of necessity, which is a lot of people, it takes them to hit rock bottom before they finally change. And how old were you when this happened?
I think it was 2013. So it was so it's pretty much 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The best and worst year of my life. We lost our life savings, but we had my first,
realization.
My first, biological child.
Yeah.
So that was scary. I'm like, hey, now I got 3 kids dependent on me anyway.
Yeah. So you had some mouths to feed right now, and you're down on your money right now, and you're like, what am I gonna do to get my head in the game? Like, what did you like specifically change? Because this, you said you started in the 1999, I think you said, right? Uh-huh. So this is about 15 years after you started real estate, and then you started going. So
if you do the math, that's exactly when I decided to become a listing agent. So I spent zero money in marketing when I was a buyer's agent. So when I shifted to become a listing agent with less money in my pocket because of the Ponzi scheme, now I got to spend money to make money. Yeah. So I knew if I'm spending money, I have to answer my phone. I have to be aggressive. I have to get out there and get it. When I had an appointment to go in somebody's house, I had to make sure I left with the listing, even though if you know me as a person, I'm not an aggressive salesman.
No.
It's all relationship building, making them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the whole industry.
Making a friend.
Yeah, making a friend.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have the role model to actually, nobody really taught me how to become a listing agent. And people say, well, when I want to become like you in 5 years. But you're going to have to put your own twist on it. So what I did, basically by my faults and failures, by going into thousands of homes, came up with an approach that works. And it really has to fit your personality. It can't be what Tom Ferry tells you to do, what Mike Ferry tells you to do, Andy Coleman, Paul Saperstein. You got to fit it to your, in your wheelhouse. If not, it's not going to work.
You're saying now you're spending your own money to get listings. So this is when you started doing the mailers, specifically the direct mail. How much does one spend on doing direct mail?
Great question. So my first year, I committed to $1,000 a month. So I spent 12,000 hours a year. 1,000 a month.
Okay, that's not much. That's not bad.
It's not much.
Yeah, it's not bad.
If there was no guarantee and I was spending 1/10 of my net worth, it was a little scary.
Okay,
there was no guarantee it was going to work.
Yeah.
My first year from the 12,000, I think I made 36,000 from the 12,000.
But you were still bringing in money from the buyers at this point?
Correct.
Yeah. So you still got your $250 coming in pretty consistently?
Yeah, I don't think that changed.
Okay.
It took until probably when I came to EXP about 4.5 years ago, where I actually didn't work buyers anymore.
Oh.
We can talk about that, but I ended up referring out all my buyers.
You referred your buyers out. Okay, so with referral commission is what, 25, 30%, something like 25% for referral commission.
Mm-hmm.
So now you became a listing agent 10 years ago, and you're doing your $1,000 a month in mailers. When did that start picking up? Because you only said you made 36 grand extra that year,
correct.
2013.
So I would say, and then I think the next year. I mean, I have to look at some of these spreadsheets, but I think so that was $1,000. I think I picked up. It was 2 neighborhoods. I remember it was Casabella, which was my own neighborhood, and another neighborhood called Newport Cove, which is another non-senior community that had a lot of people transitioning out of the neighborhood that've been there for 20 years. And then as I would go, I would be picking up other neighborhoods. I think at my peak, which was probably right before the pandemic, I was probably doing $15,000 a month, $10,000 to $15,000 a month in marketing.
Oh wow, that's a significant jump from $1,000.
But I scaled, so it was scalable. So what I would do is each year I would pick up 2 or 3 neighborhoods. So the first year was 2 neighborhoods. I'm probably up to 30 neighborhoods now.
So one neighborhood doesn't work if you want to scale.
It can work very good, and that's what I recommend they start on. Start on your own neighborhood. You want to become the mayor of your own neighborhood. As long as there's enough transactions in that neighborhood that you can. This is not a replacement of all your buyer deals. Okay. This is an add-on to
whatever you're doing. Okay. And then what? The phone calls just come into you at this point.
Inbound calls. So basically, the call would go like this. It would say, "Hey, this is John Smith. I've been receiving your mailers for 6 months now. I would like you to come out and take a look at the house."
Oh. So it would take 6 months sometimes.
It could.
Oh,
easily.
okay.
Easily. Some neighborhoods it didn't work. It was like kind of shooting darts sometimes. Some neighborhoods worked and some neighborhoods did not.
And what is it, like 100, 200 mailers per neighborhood?
I like to pick neighborhoods with about at least 300 homes in there.
300.
A lot of the marketing companies, 300 is basically their minimum to actually do a mailer.
Okay.
It's if you have 20 homes in the neighborhood, there's no community feel, there's not enough transactions.
So you're picking bigger developments. Okay. And then this is basically for 300 mailers, $1,000. That's why.
Why I did them is depending on what size of the mailer you did. I was doing what's called newsletter. These are like 4-panel newsletter. These are a little fancier, and then I developed a more of a smaller postcard, which most people actually stick to, which is like 6x11, more affordable. You can send it to more pieces.
Yes.
Basically you could do EDDM, which is every door direct mail. Where most people fail in the direct mail is they think it has to look pretty to them. They think it has to speak to them as a real estate agent. Whether I like it or not doesn't matter. It's whether I'm getting phone calls that matter.
They like it.
Yeah, they like it. It has to have something. Now, I've listened to a lot of feedback from sellers who would call me and say, I'm just wondering, why don't you put prices on your mailer? So I would take that constructive criticism instead of argue with them on the phone and actually implement it. So
prices? What do you mean prices?
So at the beginning, I thought my goal was, let me put the information out there, but let me not give them the price so they actually call and ask me, what did this house sell for?
You're talking about commission price or
No, sale price of the property. So the whole concept of
I don't even know what's on the mailer. What's on the mailer?
Great question.
Yeah.
So basically, at its core, it's a market report. So in order for you to become like the mayor of the neighborhood, you got to give the neighborhood what they're looking for. What sold, how long it took to sell, what the sale price was, maybe what the price per square foot was. And my thought was that if I would hide one of those pieces of information, they would call me and ask for it. So now I'm having better conversations. What I found out is people don't necessarily want to call you to get you something that they could already find out themselves. It's like...
By looking on Zillow, you mean? Right?
Well, it should have been on there, but I thought my secret sauce was not having the information, everything they needed, so they had to pick up the phone.
So you're basically doing like a CMA on the mailer? Is that kind of what I'm getting at, right?
Correct. Yep.
But then you just left out the price in the very beginning.
Left out the price until they called and asked for it and says, you know what, Paul, I'm just curious, why don't you put the prices on there? We're still going to call when we need you, but we don't even know what we're looking at.
So these are individual mailers per property?
So it basically would look like a one-page CMA to you.
Yeah.
Because it only goes to your neighborhood. It only has the comps for your neighborhood.
And what do you do, like the 5 closest comps to, like, how does that?
It's basically, we try to do like the last 6 months of data.
Last 6 months.
It's all relevant.
Okay.
It says clear on their market report. It's has the how long it took to sell, maybe what the price per square foot was. It has enough information on there, and then it has some call to actions, which is important. If you're just giving them information and not asking them to reach out to you, the mailers, they're going to do exactly that. They're not going to reach out to you.
So a call to action basically is your phone number, your email address, that kind of stuff.
We're actually telling them, for a free home valuation, call today. It's a little more direct. It's got to speak to everybody.
Okay.
So it's, you literally have to, if you want somebody to call you, you have to say, call me. Or go to my website, check out, for a free market analysis.
So now that you're doing all of these mailers and you're getting feedback coming in, I'm sure you're changing some of the mailers based on your feedback. And this was about 10 years ago you started doing this. Now, you became the 50th ranked realtor within the past 5 years or so, I believe. Is that accurate?
I think 2018 was the first year. The year that I left ReMax was, I think, the first year that I ranked in the top 100.
Top 100. But that's still so impressive. Because how many realtors are there out there right now?
It's like 1.6 million.
1.6 million?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. I think it's like 320 million people in America. I mean, that's a lot of realtors, obviously. And you broke into the top 100 just by changing a few different things. Like, you didn't really, reinvent the wheel. You just started sending mailers out to specific communities.
Yep.
And then you're taking your buyers, and then now you're outsourcing them out to other agents so you can free up your time to start doing listing appointments.
Correct.
So to get, because, all right, well, I think everybody really wants to know, as a top 100 agent, once you broke that top 100, what's the, the income that you're making to actually break into the top 100?
So the last, it's $1 million plus.
$1 million plus.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to make at least $1 million, and then
not to be on. It has nothing to do with that, but I'm saying that's what it translates into what I was doing.
Yeah.
The last 5 years.
Last 5 years, and then you started like scaling up from that because it took you 5 years to just get up to that $1 million.
I'm stuck at that number.
Okay, all right. Oh, this is good. So, all right, so you're stuck.
So, and it's okay.
Yeah,
so now with the life work balance. We're financially a little more stable than we were when I was, grinding. 16 hours a day like you were.
Yeah.
Now it's more, I'll never miss a baseball game. I'll never miss, we'll have date night or whatever we do on the weekends. So now it's a calmer approach to the same income.
So your quality of life is drastically improved right now because you're not in the last 5 years, and you're still making the same amount of money. Sure. And would you say you're probably working a normal like 30 hours a week or so?
Yeah.
Like
it depends who you ask whether I'm working.
Yeah.
To me, working is sitting in front of the computer where I'm fully engaged.
Yeah.
But if I'm, at the grocery store and I answer the phone at 4:30, to me it doesn't feel like work.
No.
But where I'm stuck on a commitment, I would say yes. It's probably, I really don't work much on the weekends. I really don't work nights.
Wow. So you're working, you might be working 20, like actual work. You may only be doing 20 to 30 hours a week, and you're making over $1 million just from selling homes. You're making over $1 million just working 20 or 30 hours a week. I mean, to me, that sounds incredible. For me, I did $500,000 after my second year, and I probably was working, and even today, I'm still basically doing the same thing. Probably working closer to 100+ hours a week. Which is it's insane. The amount of energy and effort I'm putting into just making that $500,000, it drives you to the point where you're going to burn out, Right. So you found a happy balance to where you're not, grinding and, destroying yourself to make over $1 million. That's 7 figures. That's a ton of money to be making. So do you think like if you started putting in, an extra 30, 60 hours a week, do you think you could break past that 7 figures, or do you not even want to at all?
I don't want to, but it's you would get burned out. I can tell, even like if I go on a listing appointment, I can tell if my attitude's off. If I'm too stressed out, the appointments are too back to back, I'm not myself on the appointment. I may not be myself when the sellers call. I may not be, myself when agents call and need help on the
or with
team.
your wife, or
You could be grumpy, and James says, "What's wrong?"
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes there's days in real estate, no matter what level you're at, you just felt like you got beat up all day. No matter what you did, you felt like you got beat up all day.
It's a tough business because a lot of it is, it's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of rejection, a lot of deals, that are not working well. There could be, mortgage problems, appraisal problems. There could be, I once had a deal where, I don't want to swear actually. So, I've had deals where the roof collapsed in within 12 hours of the closing. And
after the closing?
Within 12, right before the closing, 12 hours before the closing, the roof collapsed in, and it destroyed. This is after a month and a half, of work. Destroyed the whole deal. Seller wouldn't come and give any kind of credits. Buyer obviously wasn't coming out of pocket 30 or 40 grand. So like these little things can happen. Like the second before you're about to close, you could lose a deal. And what you're talking about, like your attitude is, it's shot. It could be a day or two where your attitude is just shot. So like for you found a happy balance to where you're not, because even doing 240 deals, that to me, honestly, that is mind blowing that you're only working like 30, 40 hours a week. That is so impressive to be doing that.
Also, the key is to like on that deal, the less emotional you get about these deals, the more even keel you are.
I gotta learn that.
When we're talking, you're hyped up. Because you're putting your heart and soul into these deals. But in real estate, 90% of what we do is out of your control. You only control that 10%. So if you can keep that 10% calm, cool, and collective, the other 90% will fall into place. Like I was actually on the phone with a agent last night. I'm not going to mention the name. Whatever, and somehow the buyer and seller are talking directly. I don't know how they got each other's numbers. And she was all freaked out. I don't know what I'm going to do. The deal's going to fall apart. I'm like, you know what? I'll call him tomorrow. We'll straighten it out. So if you could put everybody else at peace, your buyers, your sellers, your tenants, your landlords, the other agent, your deals will fall into place.
Do you ever worry about other agents stealing your deals or anything like that? Have you had that happen to you before?
So on the listing side, it's hard to do. So if you're controlling your own destiny on the listing side.
That's true. With the buyers that you used to have. I didn't really care. If they didn't want to work with me, I let them go. I never had anybody sign a buyer's broker agreement. Oh, you didn't?
No.
Wow.
My customer service was my agreement.
Wow.
Now, remember.
I'm the same way, actually.
Now, today is a little different. They have access to so much more stuff. Then maybe it is good to get a buyer broker agreement. I've
never done it.
I never did it. Yeah.
I agree, because it's just a piece of paper. If they want to go and do something else,
anyway.
right, you're not going to sue them anyway. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know, I 100% agree with that.
And
And
like if you go to see an attorney, they're going to ask you to sign a retainer. You're going to put $2,500, $5,000 up, so they know they're not wasting their time.
Yeah.
And that is the one part of our business that, you know, the professionalism, the loyalty, you know, that's hard to swallow, because, you know, there is a lot of time wasted. Yeah.
I think probably the majority of my time is most likely wasted, but you know, the the commissions are pretty good. So, you know, it kind of makes up for it, obviously, if you're wasting your time. Because I agree, even for the buyer agreements, you're wasting that time even coming up with the document, sending it to them to sign. Like, I think it's about efficiency.
What if they don't sign it?
What if they don't sign it? Yeah.
Right.
And they get offended.
Decide not to work with them?
No, of course not. Like, some agents probably would, though.
100%.
And then, you know, like, what was it, spite your nose or spite your face for your nose, or whatever that saying is. That's what happens, and they'll jeopardize a deal because of that. So I think that's a really good strategy, because you're trying to maximize your time, right? Is efficiency, is that like an organization? Is that like a big part of how you became so successful?
Very systematic. Like, you know, my email newsletter that comes out every week takes 5 minutes to do. Everything I do is, I'm not like OCD, but, you know, trying everything for enough years that everything really does fall into place. If anybody, you know, knows me in the business, they know that about 5 years ago, when my income level really started going up, is when I hired a transaction coordinator, or really an assistant. So my last year at ReMax, which was 2018, I think I did like 193 deals by myself, no TC.
That's similar to what I was doing. Yeah, crazy.
You start to realize that you need a TC or assistant, and you forget to call a new listing back, and you lose 10 grand. And you were hesitant to pay an assistant $20 or $25 an hour. That's when the light bulb goes off, and you're like, oh my God, you know, I'm not perfect.
And then you get some of your time back, which
you're buying your time.
You're buying your time back too. And that's something I actually just realized, because my first 3 years, I did it all myself. Like you said, no assistant, no TC, nothing, no team, just me doing it. And then this year, I realized, you know, I can't do this alone. If I want to scale, there's no way for me to do this alone. So that actually brings me to my next question that I'm really curious about. So for EXP Realty, I know you left ReMax and everything. For EXP Realty, they have the whole program with agent attraction, where you're bringing in agents, and you have like, what, 500 agents under you right now? 400. That's a crazy amount. And you've only been with the company 4 years.
4.5.
4.5 years. How did you get so many agents on? Could you tell me how that works? You know, how did you get so many agents under you?
Sure. So I think I probably personally sponsored maybe 80 of them.
Oh.
So then it, you know, organically grows to the different levels.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that always wanted to work with me because of my reputation. You know, the team we created here. So it all just kind of happened. So like, let's say it was, you know, 1 to 2 agents per month over the last 4 years. So it's actually doable.
Oh.
You know, and I wanted to align myself with the right people that actually, you know, that I thought would be successful. So, you know, 4.5 years ago at the beginning, when I came here to EXP, I didn't really understand the model well enough to realize that I'm only willing to sponsor somebody that I actually see myself working with long term.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm hurting them, I'm hurting myself, I'm going to lose time, energy, and waste time. You know.
So, because like you said, you know, 2 agents a year for 4.5 years, that's about 80. Or sorry. 2 agents a month for the past 4.5 years, about 80 agents. And then, you know, when you have other agents working for you, it's kind of like a system to where if they bring on an agent, you actually get paid on that too, which is pretty crazy for EXP. That's something I realized. Yeah. You don't have to have them directly under you. If you have agents that bring other agents in, you get paid on that.
Correct. As long as you have enough qualifying agents to actually get paid on the different.
Which is a small amount. It's like 5 or 10 or something like that.
10,
yeah.
15.
Very, very.
So but that's actually not why I came to EXP. The main reason why I came to EXP is because at ReMax, we did not have a capping system.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah. So for example, if I made $1 million at ReMax, I would pay them basically $50,000. So it was on a 95.5.
Which is still good. Yeah.
And then there's also about $800 a month in
desk fees.
Desk fees.
Wow, that's a lot.
So it doesn't.
That's a lot.
You know, so $60,000, you start questioning where's the value.
Were they doing anything for you? Like, what were they doing for you?
No, I mean, but you know, I at that point, I hadn't heard of EXP.
Yeah.
I didn't even know any other national companies with a cap. So I did approach ReMax and I asked them, I said, hey, can we work on the capping system? Can we work this out? I am happy here.
Yeah.
I want to make it work.
There was no cap at ReMax. So, because you were at ReMax for like 15 years, right? Mm-hmm. That's a very, very long time. What made you really want to leave?
I didn't want to leave. I thought at that point ReMax was the best real estate company in the world, but I only knew what I knew.
Yeah.
So, ironically, even though EXP is very similar to Keller Williams in some ways it's not. I never was approached. I never even thought about working at Keller Williams. And I had heard of EXP, and then I, just kind of dove in from there. And then I interviewed with Keller Williams. That was the only other company I interviewed.
And what made you choose EXP over Keller Williams?
So, the main difference to me as an agent, the person who ran my ReMax, the broker owner, kind of let us do whatever we wanted.
Okay.
What the big attraction to me at EXP is I really didn't want to be micromanaged by another broker. If I'm shifting my whole business, changing a lot of things, I don't want to play by somebody else's rules, basically have them like handcuffs for, broker type of handcuffs.
Yeah.
I knew at EXP, it was more of a platform to work on, not so much a brokerage. So I was willing to take, and if it didn't work, I sell real estate, I go back to ReMax.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that's the big thing what a lot of people don't realize, that just because you switch brokerages doesn't mean you're switching your career. It's just who's cutting your paycheck, who you're around, what culture, what tools and systems you have. If you don't like it, you can leave.
You could always go back.
Worst case scenario, you bought business cards.
Yeah, it's super easy to switch back and forth. Yeah.
But I will tell you, the agents that I see that go brokerage hopping do not last in the business. I think in 25 years I've been to, so Kai's was 2 years, the Falco Real Estate Group was like 5 years, 15 years at ReMax, and 4.5 years here. It's four brokerages in 25 years, 5 brokerages, 25 years.
And now, actually, so all the brokerages you've been at, which is not many,
No.
How do you like EXP compared to everything else?
So it's almost like driving an electric car versus a gas car. So it's so streamlined, so efficient that you actually can't go back to a regular broker.
So you're saying EXP is like the Tesla of real estate, basically?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And the reason why is because everything's online, it's all digital.
Because you can go, you're never slowed down by the brokerage. You can go at a hypersonic speed, or if you're a new agent and you have to enter the mentorship program, you can go at that speed. Most brokerages are really only geared, like ReMax won't take a brand new agent.
Wait, ReMax won't take a brand new agent?
Not take a brand new agent.
What?
I can't speak for them. There might be some broker owners. But they don't have in-house training. So the average ReMax agent, they actually, they sell ReMax. Claim to fame is nobody sells more real estate than ReMax. That's their slogan, whatever. The average ReMax agent sells about 16 homes a year.
16. It's a decent amount.
It's good. The average agent in the U.S. sells about 6 homes a year. So the average ReMax agent doing twice as much. The average ReMax agent is probably twice as old as the average real estate agent in the industry. So if they're starting with 20 years of experience, nobody's there to get the Andy Colemans of the world up to speed. They're just not set up for that. So that's why, and with the absorbent desk fees to get started, if a young, hungry, entrepreneurial person wants to get started, they're going to be in the hole before they get their first paycheck.
I still can't imagine. $800 a month.
And
that's crazy.
I never questioned it.
That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Right. Now, if I said to you, so and you're a smart guy, you would say, well, what do you get for the $800?
Yeah.
What are they giving?
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving you a car? What are they giving?
Right. Yeah. That's like 2 cars. Yeah.
So you're basically, you have the ability to use their name. which you have to decide, is that worth $10,000 a year to you or not?
I learned very quickly, and I think you could probably attest to this, that it's not the brokerage. At the end of the day, it's not the brokerage. It's the relationship that you have with the client.
Sure.
If you don't have a good relationship, if you're not friendly with them, it doesn't matter what brokerage you're with. They're not going to work with you. So I really don't think it really matters, paying for the name of the brokerage. Maybe if you're doing luxury real estate, I don't know. That's a whole different ballgame, I guess. But for EXP's purposes, where they're new. They're brand new. It's a brand new company. And they have all these cool things like the rev share, all the icon stock options, which is pretty cool. So it's like a completely different model than, the normal brokerages are used to. And you being here almost 5 years now, do you ever see yourself like leaving, maybe starting your own brokerage at all, or?
No, I thought about that. Now, a lot of people do start their own brokerage to, it's more of an ego play. Anybody who knows me is that I really don't have an ego.
Yeah.
We still run a Saperstein group where we're able to brand ourselves brokered by EXP, which is, call it when I became a listing agent 10 years ago, where teams became like the in thing. So now if you go into a brokerage, they might say, go talk to Andy. He's running a successful team. Go talk to Paul. See if you can be one of his mentees. See if you can be one of Andy's mentees and learn the business from him. Brokerages are not set up to help agents. They're just basically there to facilitate, to make sure nobody gets in trouble. They're following the state laws. They're working ethically. They're not there to teach you how to make money.
But EXP does, right?
Yeah, yes, but because of the way the pay structure there, if you're able to help somebody else close a deal, you are compensated directly from EXP, not from the agent, from EXP directly. So you are incentivized, the same as Keller Williams, you are incentivized to help anybody you introduce to the company to be successful. Yeah.
So from your perspective, you don't think it's worth it to actually start your own brokerage because it's too many headaches?
It's not. So basically, in EXP, if you decide it's a good fit, you open your own brokerage for $149 startup fee and $85 a month, period.
I see. So it's like your own brokerage within a brokerage. Okay. So
right, you do have to make sure that you're crystal clear that you're not the broker of record and you're not making any false claims. But yes, you are running, and that's what teams are doing anyway. They're running. A team is running a brokerage within a brokerage.
Because you have your broker's license, right?
I'm a broker associate.
Broker associate, yeah. Because I don't have my broker's license.
No reason to get it.
Exactly. I was thinking about getting it, but why? What's the point?
25 years ago, when I would have thought, so EXP's actually been around since 2009. Believe it or not, it's not that new.
Yeah.
If you put it into context a little bit, so the Keller Williams was started in the 1990s. ReMax was started in the 1970s. So yes, we are relatively the baby on the block here, but it's still 15 years, 15, 16 years.
That's still a good amount of time.
And it really didn't start taking off until they came up with the Icon program, which we can talk about.
Yes.
And then, the pandemic, the company's probably tripled since then.
Oh, God.
So we were kind of at the right place at the right time where we all had all the tools and systems to be in, the number one cloud or virtual brokerage.
The stock, what's the stock really quick? Obviously, I'm with the EXP too. Yep. So the stock, I just remember back, I think it was back a year ago, was it February 2022? The stock went up to $160 a share, which it's madness. And then it split, 2-to-1 split, back down to 80. But it was, come on, for when you started, it was probably $4 a share?
Yeah, $4 to $6 a share.
Which is nuts. Anybody that got it in the beginning, forget it. They're sitting on millions.
You have to stay here. So that's the key. Any job that you take, actually, Glenn Sanford talked about this yesterday.
Yeah. The CEO, Glenn Sanford, CEO, yeah.
And the founder, CEO, you got to think about any job you take on a long-term basis, 3 to 5 years. What's happening more with your age group or younger, they want instant gratification. They think the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not. It's what you make of it. It's how you water the grass. Yes, I got in the stock very cheap. I actually didn't have the foresight to keep it all. When the pandemic hit, I actually sold some because I was worried about the market.
Wait, tell me a little about that, because I'm sure you probably hit Icon in your first year, right?
Yeah, I hit it every year.
Yeah, every year.
This is my 5th year hitting Icon.
Wow.
So at the beginning, the $16,000.
$16,000 stock.
So we were getting about 2,000 shares each time. It was $8 a share. Now, at $100 a share.
Ooh, do the math on that.
It's like 200 shares. Whatever. So it's a little different now, but obviously that accumulates. It's a 3-year vesting period. But if you believe in the company, you're still here. You're still happy, and all that's a cherry on top.
Yeah, it's kind of like a retirement plan, almost, right?
It is. If you have the guts to hold on to it, while obviously when the stock went up to like 160 was when GameStop and some other stocks were having a crazy run. They were probably manipulated by some corporate investor or something. But it's all good.
So for you sold off a bunch of stocks, and because you got nervous and stuff. And did you? I mean, you obviously kept a bunch of stocks that you didn't sell at all. Like what did you sell? Like half of them or something?
So each year when they vested. So I've been here. So now I've had about 2 years vested.
2 years.
So when the stock vested, I actually sold some of that icons.
And do you wish that you had held on to it?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but what price did you sell it at?
I sold some at the peak, but some.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, some as cheap as $10 a share.
All right, well. But you sold some at the peak.
Yeah.
That's cool that you did that, obviously, because you cashed out. So that's one thing that I realized about EXP. You could literally make over 100% commission.
Yep, and we'll talk about this.
Yeah.
I think I calculated. With rev share and stock, I'm about 120% commission.
That's great. 120.
Yeah.
You can't start your own brokerage and make 100% over 100% commission, 120% commission. You can't do it at ReMax, Keller Williams. You can't do it anywhere. That's why I stuck with EXP all these years. I've had every single brokerage under the sun come out and try to recruit me, and I'm like, can you offer me over 100% commission? And none of them could. Right. And like you said, opening your own brokerage, first of all, you can't make that much commission, and then you're dealing with all the headaches that you don't have to worry about. It's not scalable. Yeah, because you're in a brokerage within a brokerage. So then, I just want to talk about the Icon program a little bit more. Once you reach $100,000 or $105,000, I believe it is.
80,000.
Oh, capping. Capping's 80,000. Then once you do another 25,000 on top of that, which is 105,000, the company EXP will give you back 16,000 in stock, which you have to kind of earn a little bit. 8,000 here, 4,000 here. It's kind of easy to earn the money a little bit, but you earn it back, and then like you said, if you hold on to it and you don't sell it retroactively, you're going to be making over 100% commission just from that stock because the company's growing at such a rapid pace. I think when I joined, it was about 3 years ago. We had about 30,000 agents, I want to say. Is that accurate, probably? So then today, I think we have like 90+ thousand, right?
Yep.
It's
last time I saw it was 86,000.
86,000, which is, that's, in 3 years, that's such a rapid growth. I remember even, I was at one of the EXP events in Nevada, was it Las Vegas, EXP share, was it EXP Con?
Yep.
So I was over there, and Glenn Sanford was up on stage, and he was like, we want to have 500,000 agents within the next 5 years. I'm like, is this guy nuts? This was like, a year or two ago. And then all of a sudden we started doubling and doubling and doubling. I'm like, what? This is actually coming true. Do you think we will actually get around 500,000 agents?
Depends.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know that if there's 1.5 million agents, I don't know that.
In America.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is worldwide. Yeah.
If they keep, increasing the agent value proposition, I think it is achievable.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of copycat companies coming out. There's probably 20 plus copycat companies coming out.
Never heard of them. Yeah.
They're still small. They're not open in all 50 states. And why reinvent the wheel if you could copy what a successful company's doing? But they can't copy the culture. They can't copy the exact technology. So they're again, if you want to refer back to Tesla, EXP is a 10-year leg up when any other cloud or virtual brokerage.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that, one of the key benefits of, why I stuck around, the support is great. They're always there for you and everything. There's just no reason, to jump ship, or even, because I have new agents, coming up to me all the time. Oh, what brokerage should I join? This and that. I say, obviously go with what your gut's telling you, but, these are the reasons why I joined and why I stay. And this is, from the top 50th ranked agent in the world, you have no incentive to join join any other company.
No,
Like,
I mean, we've been offered huge payouts to sign up. If your value proposition is to pay the top agent X amount of money to stay for 3 years, you're trapping them. I'm not signing a contract.
No.
I can come and go as I please.
you've been approached, and somebody's really, I didn't know.
And you will too.
Okay, all right.
But once you actually do the math based on the number they're approaching you with versus how much you're actually giving up, it doesn't make sense.
It's not worth it.
It's a numbers game.
In my mind, if we do end up getting around 500,000 agents within 5-10 years, let's say, I think personally the stock, I think it's just going to keep going up and up and up and up. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I'm just curious your thoughts on the stock. Again, that's big.
The stock was the cherry on top for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't the reason I came, but it was one of the scariest things about being a family man, 3 kids, that I knew once I stopped working in real estate, there's no more checks coming. So that was the safety net of the stock. The rev share was not so much, it was some kind of income. Because there's an old saying, they said, when a real estate agent retires, right?
Oh, no, I don't know this thing.
When they die.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm still relatively new. When
they stop working. When a real estate agent stops working.
Yeah.
So EXP is on the road to actually change that. Yeah.
And then because you're a revenue share too, because you were talking about that briefly before, you have 400, maybe a little bit over 400 agents under you. And, we don't have to get into direct specifics, but, what could one, agent make if they have, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, let's say you have 100 agents under you. What could you bring in extra per year, hypothetically,
It depends on how productive those agents are. If they're not making any money, it's zero. I will tell you, I make about 20% of my income is from rev share.
Wow, that's a significant portion. And are you babysitting them? Like, what are you doing for them?
No, we coach and mentor them.
Oh, you
do?
do?
The same thing you would do at any other brokerage. We're not spending any more or any less time. And we are spending more time with the agents that do want to become better, that do want to become Andy Coleman's, Paul Saperstein. That's who we're spending time with.
You're focusing on the people that are
on the winners,
putting the efforts in. Yeah.
You're focusing, not that they're losers, but the people that are not making money, they're not, you're swimming in the same direction as you. They're going to slow you down, and you will get burnt out where you could make a bad decision and leave the brokerage because you're paying attention, or you're hanging out with, they say, if you read any of the motivational books, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
It's 100% true. That's 100% true. I think I even heard Ricky Carruth or Mike Sherrod, one of those guys, they were talking about it, and they said, we're not focusing on the 70% of agents that are, sitting on the couch all day watching Netflix. We're focusing on the 20-30% that are producing, that are, putting effort into it. So I think that's really cool that you said that. It kind of reinforces that idea. So for you in particular, for rev share, this is a lot of extra income that you're bringing in. Like, because I'm at the point right now, me personally, I would love advice even from you. I'm at the point right now where, I just busted my butt for the past 3 years. I built, a brand. I built a business. I'm going on social media now. I'm trying to bring in agents under me. This is what I want to focus on. I was focusing on rentals hardcore. That was my business. As you know, we've talked about it before. I was focusing on rentals. I had the any broker advertised model. I would have tons, hundreds of leads coming into me per day. They were calling me. I didn't have to do cold calling, none of that stuff, door knocking, open houses. I didn't do any of that. And like you said before, for other agents, brand new agents starting, you can focus on whatever works for you. Maybe you don't like hundreds of people calling you per day. Maybe you like setting open houses. Maybe you like cold calling. Maybe you like doing mailers. Whatever it is that works for you, you pick a niche and then you stick to that. And then you become the expert in that niche. That's kind of what I found out like pretty early on, is just focus on one particular thing. So I mastered the rentals, and now I want to transition now, into getting the VAs. I do have a VA now, and bringing on other agents, teaching them, mentoring them, showing them how I did this and how they can do it as well, to grow into a 6-figure business very, very quickly in the start of their career. So what kind of advice would you have, even just for me transitioning now to, wanting to bring in agents under me? In my mind, I want to do a coaching platform where, I'm creating a course. I'm doing, group coaching calls, and I'm just giving it for free. You come and join under me. I'm going to give you everything I know completely free. I'm not charging a penny for it. What do you think about that approach?
I think it's a great idea, but what you have to realize, they're coming there to learn from you. You just have to be, you happen to be a successful agent EXP.
Yeah.
When you understand why people are following other people, why they're, whoever their, mentee is, mentor, they're looking up to, they're striving to be, they're not striving to be an agent EXP, they're striving to be like you. So as long as you keep that in mind, that it's not so much where they work, which is important.
Yeah.
It's that they're spending countless hours with you, where they're retaining more information, they're getting the valuable coaching they need. Because you could be X, Y, Z Realty. If they want to learn from you, they're going to come learn from you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the brokerage.
And that's the key between the producers and the recruiters. There's, it's going to be some negative connotation that, some people are just recruiters. You happen to be a producer. I happen to be a producer that happens to be
a recruiter too.
Right.
Yeah, you do both.
But we're not aggressively trying to recruit. We're saying, hey, this is what we do. If you'd like to get a taste of it, reach out to me, and we'll put you in the same direction.
Because I would love to touch on what you just said. You're not aggressively trying to recruit agents, yet you still got 400 agents, over the past few years. I think that's super impressive. Yeah. I've been doing this 3 years. I've only gotten a few agents under me. I don't know.
Mastered the first skill.
Yes, that is, yeah.
There's no mastering the recruiting part of it. You have to have that, the magnetic personality where people want to be around you. They want to learn from you. Oh, and by the way, I'm here. This is where I'm at.
Did you do it a lot through social media? Like, how did you build that?
I didn't. I had built my name locally. So every person I've sponsored EXP has been a local person.
Everybody knows you, by the way. Yeah. Everybody. I'll tell you. So, because I deal with a lot of these rentals and stuff like that. Like, just about every single agent I talk to, if your name comes up somehow, because they're like, oh, I see you're EXP, what team you're on. I'm like, oh, Paul Saperstein. Maybe 99 out of 100 agents probably know you, which is, a testament to all the hard work that you've put in over the past, 20 years.
But I think it really kind of 10x itself when I came to EXP.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was a great agent. I was friendly. But when you're trying to build a team, trying to build a brokerage within a brokerage, you do go the extra mile to show them how to do showing instructions. Make sure, you get their offer submitted. Make sure you submit in the best light. Make sure you try to get, when they see your name on a listing, they're excited to call you. And that's really what it's all about. That's what the culture here is about. And that's why, when I see other EXP agents' names, I get excited. I'm like, wow, we work for the same company. I want to do a deal together.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's host an open house. And that's really, so I think my name has gotten bigger and better. Not saying on the ego part of it, because I'm going the extra mile to be nice to agents.
So beforehand, you were kind of like in the shadows a little bit?
It was more, I felt I was in competition with agents. Now I don't look at it as a competition.
That's actually pretty interesting to think about that. Because, a lot of agents, even I'm guilty of it myself. I don't want to give away my secrets, or I didn't want to give away my secrets and my tips and tricks because I was afraid that another agent would come in, and take away my business from me. Yeah. And I've had instances.
But you are the business though.
That's true.
I can show everybody exactly what I do, but if they don't have a great personality, if they don't have the work ethic, if they don't have the consistency, the drive, you can show them everything you do.
Doesn't matter.
The most athletic tennis player out there is probably Nick Kyrgios.
Okay.
He's not the number one player in the world.
No.
But maybe he's the most athletic tennis player. Maybe he's got the most natural God-gifted talent. But
he doesn't put the effort in.
Yeah. That's the key. You can give somebody your entire playbook.
Yeah.
You will have and when I meet agents, I kind of know if the agent has that it factor, that special thing. But whether you actually can get it out of them it depends on how good their mentor, how good their coach is.
Yeah, because even you, obviously you have that it factor, but it took you,
15 years.
15 years to bring it out, which is kind of crazy to hear that, in my mind, because we had never talked about this. I've known you for years, we never talked about this. So I never even knew, 99% of this stuff. I never knew any of this stuff, so it's all like super fascinating to me. Yeah. I would have thought, from the very beginning, you were just crushing it from day one. Yep. But it took you a long time to build it up to really find your way, which is pretty interesting because a lot of agents, they'll quit way before.
That's the mental game. I have a business manager's degree with maybe a background in marketing, but that I can't just go be an accountant. I can't go, be an attorney. I couldn't be a doctor. So I knew, being in sales is going to be my number one, option. But, what sales position? I don't look at it as a sales position.
No.
So as soon as I shifted my focus into customer service, the business started growing.
I learned that probably about a year into doing real estate. 'Cause, I like talking and stuff.
Yeah.
I was selling homes to people, and I was kind of pushing them in the direction that I wanted them to go in. Right. Maybe I didn't want to do 10 showings, and I wanted to do 3 showings. So by house 3, I'm really trying to convince them you want this house. Right. And I quickly realized, yes, they might say yes right then and there. Maybe even an hour or 2 after, they're saying, okay, let's do it. Put the contract in. Let's do it. But then they sleep on it, or a couple days goes by, and they're like, you know what? That really wasn't the house for us. Sure. And then they back out, which just creates more problems, more headaches, more work. So I realized, don't sell a property. Just make a friend, point out, some facts about the property, and let them make their own decision. Once I started doing that, my business literally like doubled, tripled, quadrupled almost overnight. Just from stopping to I wasn't selling anymore.
Nobody wants to be sold.
Nobody wants to be sold. Yeah.
And salespeople are the easiest person to sell. If somebody approaches you, you're probably an easy sale.
Probably. Yeah, which is pretty fascinating. So that was one thing I learned. Is there any tips, any tips or tricks for new agents just starting out? Like give me a few tips or suggestions that they can, hit the ground running from the very beginning. Like, is there any things that stick out in your mind?
Yeah, you want to seem successful before you're successful.
Ooh.
I love what your model where you're advertising other agents' listings with their
permission. Yeah.
Giving them credit. Because
fake it till you make it. Is that? Yeah.
Even just being a confident person in general, whether it's taking speaking classes or just walking around. But there's a fine line between confident and cocky.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a cocky real estate.
No.
I'm not going to name the name.
Yeah.
There's an agent the other day that he submitted an offer, but his even though his offer was low, we weren't able to get the deal done. The way he spoke to me as a listing, you want to befriend the listing agent.
Oh, yeah.
So the way he spoke to me as a listing agent, I was very hesitant to even get involved with this agent. And he says, hey, Paul, I know can I ask you, why do you think nobody's accepting my offer?
Whoa.
I said, you want the honest truth?
Yeah.
I said, because you're arrogant.
Oh.
He says, no, I'm not. I said, you probably believe that you're not. But I can tell you from our 2-minute conversation that listing agents, when they see your name, are going to run.
Wow.
So yeah, just basically putting a positive twist on everything, being coachable, not being stubborn, not being stuck in your ways, and picking a mentor that you can grow with. Not that, and you could be better than your mentor one day, but don't forget where you came from. Don't forget, hey, it was only 2 years ago that you were making $80,000.
But I think that's what mentors like too, right? They want to make sure their student is better than them because that means they did their job correct.
Correct. But some people, look at it as a threat.
Oh.
Now, the one thing that I love about EXP that we didn't really speak about, even if my mentees become better than me, which I want them to, they don't have to leave. The way we run our team is we're not taking a portion of their commission.
It's free.
So there's no reason for them to ever leave the team because we're not taking 50% of their money from day one. So, the only reason people, the number one, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
The number one reason people leave brokerages?
They're not getting the support that they want. Oh, no, probably chasing a higher commission.
Close. They're actually not getting their ego stroked anymore.
Oh.
So as soon as they think that their brokerage is not patting them on the back,
really,
giving them the attaboy, they look for it elsewhere.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. I never thought about that.
It either.
Huh. Oh, I guess a lot of people need like that attention, that coddling, where you're doing a great job. Yeah, honestly, I EXP's hands off. A lot of it's hands off to where now they're starting to invite me to. They're getting better at that. Yeah, I have an icon agent that's like assigned to me now or something. So they're reaching out specifically to me every couple weeks, like, hey, can we do anything for you? This and that. Yeah. I got nominated to speak on the Orlando event, the shareholders event. So. That's pretty cool. Like, yeah, they're starting to do that, but they never gave it to me before, and I didn't care. I mean,
So yeah, they're now. They realize if you keep the icon agents like we are, the top 3% of the company happy.
So it's 3%
Yeah,
icon.
it's about 2 to 3%.
2 to 3%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you keep these people happy, they never leave. There's no trickle down effect. But if I'm getting calls from Compass, oh, I see your numbers, you're so impressive. We want to start a sports and luxury division with you. Now the light bulb goes off. Says, wow.
I didn't get that
I never hear about this from EXP. They don't even know who I am.
I was watching the show. I think it's Selling Sunset or the other one, Buying Brooklyn or whatever the heck it was. I can't remember. And one of the agents was getting recruited by like a ReMax or something. And I think he was with Maurice, that guy Maurice, one of the bigger agents out there. And that's what they were doing. They were like, oh, we want to start a special division for you, this and that. And it was on the show. It was on Netflix. I can't remember the show's name right now. And what happened?
30 minutes.
30 minutes is up? Okay. Why don't you click, just restart that one more time. We'll probably wrap it up shortly anyways. Is that working? Okay. I think I saw, all right, so what the hell is that show called even?
So it's, the Mario Mansky is
that looking good? Maurice Mansky, that's him,
So
yeah.
He runs,
Maurice.
I forget the name of the broker.
That's the brokerage,
They
yeah.
actually were here and they failed.
In Florida?
They
No way.
were in East Boca. They had a huge opening and failed.
They failed, I wonder, because they're luxury, right?
They're luxury, but it's hard to so the brands, if they're big in California, it doesn't mean they're going to be big in Florida. Yeah. So that was really a California company.
Okay, so I'm actually, that was my next question. So what's your advice, like, for even just newer agents or just agents out here for 5 or 10 years, what do you advise that they focus on? Because you went towards the lower ticket listings, not the $5-10 million houses, but still you're wildly successful doing that. What do you recommend, agents go after?
So yeah, I would network with the people that you're comfortable with. That should be your client. Your database, if you don't have one to start, is basically your phone. So I would start there. I would know the product. Remember, you said you studied, you knew the rentals, you knew the price range, you knew what it took, credit scores, income scores. So you've got to be a master of your craft. It does take about 10,000 hours to become a master of your craft, which is about 5 years of full-time work. Once, if the consumer knows more than you, you're not an asset.
Yeah, in the very beginning, I was getting, a lot of negative feedback because I didn't know quartz countertop from granite countertop. I didn't know a vinyl floor. Like, I didn't know any of that stuff.
You learn fast when it costs a deal.
You learn quick. You learn very quick. So you're like, a lot of people are going to be chasing these massive commissions. Like, if you do a $10 million house, you're making 10 times the commission as a $1 million house. And then if you're doing a $100,000 house, 10 times that. So, like, do you think it's wiser to chase, a luxury deal as opposed to, let's say, even a rental where you're only getting a couple thousand per deal? Like, what? Like,
you're going to have your sweet spot. I mean, again, who wouldn't love to sell a $10 million house?
Yeah.
But again, do you network with $10 million, people that buying houses? Do you remember at the resort where they're playing tennis at, where they're playing golf? Are you at the same restaurants as them? So I really, also, one of the, I forget who taught me this in the business, but you really want to work with people that have to buy or sell, not want to buy or sell, have to buy or sell.
That's interesting.
That's where you're really going to make your bread and butter.
Yeah, because I was wondering, what it took to become a luxury real estate agent. And now that's making more sense now that you're saying that. It's kind of like the people that you hang around with. If you're at the country clubs and, you're doing that kind of lifestyle, naturally, like your sphere of influence, will be those types of people that will have those houses. Yeah. So you're saying it's kind of like tough because you do the mailer strategy where you're farming specific areas. I'm curious, have you ever tried farming, like $10 million communities, $1 million communities? You haven't tried it?
Yeah. I mean, the neighborhood where I live in, I think the average sale is about $1 million now.
Yeah, which is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's the most expensive neighborhood that I'm targeting.
Okay, and then I'm curious even, because you're wildly successful doing the mailer strategy. Were you able to tell a difference between doing that $1 million neighborhood compared to, let's say, a $200,000 or a $500,000 neighborhood? Is there any, number-wise?
Yeah, I think the lower price point is actually, you see more results.
Oh, okay. So you're saying even going after the lower price points, what's like the sweet spot for you?
I would say 300,000.
300,000. So you feel like if you're doing, let's say, a 750 range, you're gonna be wasting more money on marketing and not getting the same results coming in.
Yeah. So my school of thought, and obviously, I'm just guessing based on my experience.
Yeah.
The lower price point, the less chance of them having an agent that they were referred to by their friends, by their family, by their accountant, by their attorney. So I am originally going after the low-hanging fruit and then basically expanding my business through their network.
But it's working. It's working really, really well. Yeah. Like a lot of agents starting off, they might try these $1 million neighborhoods.
Yeah, but they're watching, $1 million.
Yeah.
They're watching selling.
Yeah.
I didn't have that show to watch when we were in business.
No.
And I actually, I want my clients to feel like I can provide value to them. Sometimes, on the high-end clients, maybe they don't treat you with as much respect. I'm not saying
I know, I heard that though. I did hear that. Yeah. I did hear that.
So you got to be comfortable. You don't want to just be a pizza delivery, driver.
Yeah.
You want to be adding value to the table. So if you've never bought a $10 million house, how can you really walk them through that process?
Oh, that's a good tip right there.
So a lot of real estate agents, once you've done your own purchase or sold your own house, you've basically done, the roadblocks to be successful. A lot of agents haven't bought or sold a house themselves. They get into the business never owning real estate, and that's fine. But once they get that first deal under the belt, whether it's a buyer or seller, now they completed that circle of the process.
That brings me to my next question, investing. Have you done any kind of real estate investing at all?
So everything that I've done investing-wise is crashed.
It's crashed, okay.
Yeah, real estate-wise. So yes, I've bought a couple. Well, my conservative strategy on investing is that if I wasn't willing to live there, I wasn't willing to buy. So meaning that if the market crashed, I have to be willing to move into that unit.
Oh.
So that was a very conservative outlook, and actually the 2 or 3 properties that I bought that I ended up walking away from, the other one I ended up moving into, the real estate market crashed around both of those times.
Was it 2008, 9?
Yeah, it was it was 2 properties around 2006 to 2008.
Okay, and then that kind of scared you off a little bit.
It's actually to me it was a distraction.
Oh.
Looking back, hindsight's always 20/20.
Man.
If I would have bought, I had thicker skin now. I'm 47 versus 23.
Yeah.
If I would have bought one property a year, that would probably it would have probably made a huge difference.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I wanted to manage 25 properties either. I don't know that I would be as hungry. I don't know if I would have as much time.
That might have taken away from
family, work, it's if you're on the hook for 25 mortgage payments, it's a little scary.
And that could keep you up at night.
People lost their net worth. Maybe I walked away from a $100,000 deposit when I bought at the peak of the market.
Yeah.
But I didn't go into foreclosure. I didn't have to do short sales. I was able to have a good exit strategy.
So what about now? Because a lot of people are saying right now, the market is kind of stagnant. It's not a buyer's market, not a seller's market. Yep. You're still doing phenomenal numbers. So, your whole network that you have built up, it's working extremely well. But a lot of agents, they're telling me that, they can't get listings. They can't get the listings sold right now. The buyers don't want to buy. The interest rates are so high. They're not pricing them right now. So what do you think's happening with the market, coming up?
So it's very important now that I would say more now than ever, you have to price the listings correctly. You have to set expectations with your sellers and or buyers. Like you said, I agree with you. It's probably not a seller's market. It's probably not a buyer's market. But what happens is, if you're setting the expectations that you're going to get them 20% off the listing price, and that doesn't happen, you'll never get deals under contract. If you're listing at 20% over what it's worth and telling a seller they're going to get that number, you're never going to get any of your listings under contract. So they're now more than ever leaning on you as a professional to make sure it's priced right and guide them. What should we offer, Andy? What do you think?
Do you think it's the listing agents that haven't caught up yet to the new market? Do you think it's the sellers that are not budging?
I think it's the sellers. They don't want to realize that we're past the peak of the market.
That's interesting because I think the peak of the market was right around June last year. Is that accurate? 2022. So ever since then, it's been going down. From my calculations here in South Florida, we're in the Boca Raton area. I've seen maybe a 15% drop in prices. Have you seen around probably 15? But you're thinking if the market maybe dropped around 30%, then it's going to now switch over to a buyer's market or back to a seller's market.
Yeah, and interest rates kind of controlling that too.
That's a massive factor.
With the interest rate, the affordability here became a problem where a lot of people from other parts of the country couldn't afford to live here in Palm Beach County.
They got kicked out. They got pushed out.
That was, with interest, at the peak of the market, the interest rates were 3%.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in the mid sixes now, which makes their buying power cut in half.
Yeah, I think I did the math even on I think it was like a $4,000 all-in monthly payment. $1,600 of that is just going towards your interest per month. $1,600. I think I did the math correct on that. $1,400 is going towards your principal, and then the rest, HOA fees, this and that, maintenance, insurance, all of that stuff. And that's at a 6% interest rate. Yep. So if it drops in half, that's an extra $800 that you're saving per month, which will give you more buying power.
Correct.
I think I'm doing the math correct on that. You are. I think I am. So what is your estimation now? What's your guess on, for the market moving forward? How long do you think until it's going to switch back to a buyer's market, or do you think it's going to go to a seller's market?
Yeah. So typically, Florida, I've been doing it 25 years.
Yeah.
We've had the Florida market was very, very stable to probably, from the late 90s. Or even when interest rates were in the 14s and the 80s, I wasn't selling real estate, but they said the real estate market, Florida was flat probably from 1990 to almost 2000.
That's 14% interest?
Yeah, I wasn't selling real estate, but it's not selling. You still have people, no matter what the interest rate, that have to buy or sell.
14.
That was one of the key things is if you work with people that have to buy or sell and really dive into what their why is, why are you selling? Is it a health issue? Are you getting divorced? Did you lose your job? Once you figure out what their why is, you can help them get to their goal.
So that's probably a trick for your listing appointments too.
Sure. So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. L, why are you selling? We're not spending enough time in Florida. We want to be closer to the kids. Unfortunately, we're having a health issue. My husband lost his job. Then you figure out. And what a lot of agents do is they try to become, we call it like a superhero.
Yeah.
They'll try to price a listing too high, where if their goal was just to sell the property, you don't have to break every record in the book.
No.
Just sell the property. That's why they hired you. They didn't hire you to give them false hope on a sky high listing price.
Now, here is my approach that I was using, whenever I get a listing, and I'm sure you probably do something similar. Mm-hmm. So I take when I do the listing appointment, I won't allow any showings up until a Saturday or a Sunday, and then I'll hold an open house. Mm-hmm. And then on, let's say, Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to list the house, not allow any showings whatsoever. I'm going to get a line of 50 people that are going to show up to this house. And the main reason why is I'm underpricing the house, under market value. This way, you get a flood of potential buyers that come in. All these buyers are seeing everybody trying to compete for the same house, and then they're going to throw in over asking price offers because they think it's a competitive, house listing right there. Yeah. What do you think about that strategy? Because you do a ton of listings.
Yeah, I think that worked in June of 22.
That's what I was doing back then. Yeah.
I don't think it works anymore. I think if you price it right, it still will be under contract in 30 days.
Okay.
Close in 60 to 90, but you got to price it right. You got to market it correctly. You got to have professional photos. You'd be surprised of what disservice that I would say 95% of the agents are doing to their sellers.
Really? Because you basically sell almost every single property that you take on, right?
Sure, unless they decide not to sell it. Something like that. But
what's your turnover rate? Because if you did 240 deals last year, how many deals didn't go through?
Last year, probably none.
None?
But this year, maybe they weren't happy with the price. Maybe they decided to, stay another year. In a normal market, you're going to sell about 67% of your listings.
67.
2 out of every 3 listings you'll sell.
Will actually sell. You were at 100. You were close to 100% last year. And you don't think you can replicate that again this year?
No, you could. It's just you got to price it right off the bat. So what happens is, as a mega listing agent, I've lost listings because I gave them a realistic price. Somebody else comes in and gives them an inflated price. 2 weeks later, they're asking them to do a price drop. So the only advice I can give to a seller, if you're talking to a seller, is don't pick your listing agent based on the list price. Pick your listing agent based on what you think for the negotiation skills, their marketing, personality, what kind of relationship you'll have, because the price is determined by the buyer. We don't determine the price.
So you think that gives them, like blinders basically. There, another agent might come in and offer an extra $20,000, and then that seller is focused now on that price. Yeah. When in reality,
most of the good listing agents are good salespeople.
Yeah,
they're very likable. They're very believable. So if I can convince you that you're going to sell the property $20,000 more than the next person that walks in the door, you might believe them.
But it's a trick.
Yeah, but again, either they may not, and it could be the other way too. You can have an agent where they underprice it severely because they don't know the market. So, in this market, I would say with the market shifting, again, not such a seller's market, not such a buyer's market, you basically have to be on the almost the least expensive house that's available. Last year, you could have been the most expensive house available and still sold it.
So that's how you're doing your comps.
You want to be on the, for example, say there's a bunch of houses listed around 300,000.
Yeah.
You want to be in the first batch of showing, so you can't be at 350 and everybody else is at 310. You want to be basically in that first segment of prices that are. You could be on the higher end of that, but you got to be competitive. You got to be within $10,000 or $20,000 of what everything else is selling for.
Yeah, because a lot of these listings aren't, cumulative days on market. They're sitting for longer and longer and longer. I mean, do you think this is going to change anytime soon? Like, even just for me, I personally want to start investing in properties. I want to start, maybe I'll take my losses and everything if it'll scare me out. But, I want to give it a shot, and I want to start investing in properties. When do you think it's like a good time to get in? I know.
I don't think it's so much timing. I think it's when you find the right deal.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not so much timing.
Oh.
If I know the market probably as good as anybody. And I bought it two at the wrong time because you never know when the rug is going to be swept out from under you. So if it's the right deal, no matter what the market is, the market doesn't matter. It's got to be the right deal.
Okay, so trying to time the market is kind of foolish. You're saying,
can't buy and sell at the same time. If you're in the market to buy, you buy when you find the right deal. If you're in the market to sell, you sell when you're comfortable with the number, and you can't look back.
How do you find that right deal?
You could find a distressed property. You can buy wholesale. You can find a vacant property. You can find an estate sale. You got to dig. You're looking for a needle in a haystack.
Okay, so this is not just going on your MLS.
You could, but maybe you're looking for something that's been on the market for 6 months. Maybe an agent has really crappy listing photos. It's a diamond in the rough, but it just doesn't show it.
Well, that's a good tip.
You got to do your due diligence. You really got to dive in and figure it out.
So you're not going after these new listings that everybody wants. You're going after the ones that nobody wants.
Correct.
That has been sitting there a while. That's how you find the deal.
And I would say if you're going to buy your first investment property, again, buy something that you and your girlfriend would consider moving into.
Yeah.
Maybe you start with a nice 3-2 in a great school district where it's just not that risky of a play.
Yeah. What do you think about the multifamilies then? Investing in multifamilies? Yeah.
But most investors are shifting from the single family where they have to manage each property separately. So multifamily, small apartment complexes are becoming a lot more popular.
That's like Grant Cardone's model of what, he might be a little controversial and stuff, but that's his model of what he does is I think he started with, what becomes a commercial property? I think it's after four units is commercial.
Yeah, it could be.
It's so, maybe starting with like a 5-unit, 10-unit.
Yeah, and you might have to be willing to live on that complex to make sure you're getting the right tenants, turn the property around, you're maintaining it, and then you sell off that, part of the portfolio, or you keep it as rental property.
I mean, because in my mind, I like the idea of having a renter in there, building that positive equity over, let's say a 5, 10, 15-year period, having the house appreciate in value maybe. So actually, this is great. A question for you because you've been around for a longer amount of time than me. The normal appreciation over a 10-year period, what would you say that is typically? Like 20%, 30%?
I mean, it could be 3 to 5% a year.
Yeah.
So it really, it could be 50%. But I would say 3 to 5% is a reasonable number
per year. So
which
over
is probably what normal inflation is in a normal.
Yeah, because that's what got me really thinking about investing in real estate is exactly what you said. You're losing inflation every single year. I don't know what the real number is. Maybe it's 2% a year, something like that, 3% a year. But if you buy a property, then it appreciates in value, and then you have a renter in there paying your everything, your mortgage, your insurance, your interest, paying everything. You're building positive equity plus the appreciation of the house. So if you buy a house for, let's say, a single family house for $500,000 and you hold it for 10 years, you could be looking at profiting around $250,000, maybe a little bit more over that 10-year period.
Sure.
Is that like normal thinking for investing?
As long as the market never tanks, as long as you don't have several months without a tenant in it. There's a lot of what ifs, and the what ifs I wasn't worth
exploring the risk. Do you think you're going to try now? Maybe
not while I'm here with EXP. I mean, I feel a lot safer with the stock and rev share than taking any real estate risk.
Taking any real estate risk. Okay. So what about for me? Advice to me. You know me. Do you think advice for me?
I would try it. You have to try it. You might love it.
Yeah.
You might not. I would definitely try one.
Because I'm just thinking, parking my money in the bank. I mean, not great. I do like index funds. I'm a big fan. Vanguard index funds, absolutely love them. VOO. I think they're performing at like 10.6% annually, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm just looking at different, avenues to park my money. And I thought investing in real estate was a good one.
I mean, you're a licensed agent.
Yeah.
Don't jump on the first thing that looks pretty. It's do your research. Don't be impulsive. Really, make sure if you're going to fix it, if you're going to fix up the property, make sure you have your crew lined up, because it's also a distraction. If you're doing 20 rentals a month and you're fooling around with the GC in a house in Green Acres, you're not making money.
No.
So, you got to make sure you have everything lined up.
What about flips?
I mean, that would work, but didn't sound like what your goal was. More, you can do a buy and hold. I mean, most.
That's what I was thinking.
Most hedge funds, they're trying to buy low. They hold it for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
They're selling high.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And that's probably the safer strategy.
Because the whole flip model, I was thinking about doing that. I might incorporate one or two here or there, but I think that does depend on time in the market. Because obviously, if you buy high, then the market crashes, you're not making any money on a flip. So then you got to time the market, and then you're investing all that time and energy fixing the house up and making sure everything goes right. You have to get it done within a few months because you got the mortgage on that. Like, whatever it may be, I might dabble in that a little bit. Have you done any flips at all?
I have not.
None at all. Yeah, I think that's a riskier.
I've sold for I actually, one of my biggest clients was a hedge fund out of New York.
So real estate investing, that's always an option that I want to get into. Do you have any other, tips or words that you want to get out for any new agents that might be, starting real estate right now?
Pick a mentor. If you're not happy with that mentor, I would say switch it. Don't waste any time. Basically, find the right, real estate family that you're going to work in, right culture, and really, put your heart and soul into it until you've outgrown that system.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that was wonderful. You've shared so much knowledge and wisdom that, you have tons of agents that look up to you now. And I thank you so much for coming on here and telling everybody your story. It was super fascinating to me. If you guys like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I'm going to be dropping videos Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Definitely stay tuned to the next one. And that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's it.